Biennale on Air.
Welcome to Biennale on Air, the official monthly podcast of La Biennale di Venezia. In under 30 minutes, we'll take you behind the scenes of our 130-year-old institution, uncovering stories both well-known and hidden. You'll hear from remarkable guests across all our disciplines: art, architecture, cinema, dance, music, and theater. To understand the present, we need to revisit the past, so we'll bring you exclusive gems from the collections of our historical archive. But we're also looking ahead, spotlighting fresh perspectives and new voices. And yes, there will be surprises along the way. In this episode, we'll dive into the 82nd Venice International Film Festival, set sail from Venice to Brazil on a floating platform, and take a nostalgic journey back to the vibrant 1980s. Then we'll join the Biennale College Danza dancers as they meet herds of life-size puppet animals in the lagoon for a spectacular work of traveling public art. And finally, catch a glimpse of the upcoming Biennale Musica 2025, ready to launch us towards the stars. This is Biennale on Air. Let's begin. The 82nd Venice International Film Festival wrapped up on September 6, 2025. We met artistic director Alberto Barbera and asked him a few questions about this record-breaking edition of the world's oldest film festival. Mr. Barbera, if the 82nd Venice Film Festival were a film, what themes would it explore?
Most of the themes of this year festival reflect on the contemporary world and contemporary society. Most of the problems we have to deal with every single day are present in most of the films. The war, of course, Ukraine and Gaza, the danger of the nuclear power again, the monster of the dictatorship of the 19th century, from Mussolini to Ceausescu to Gaddafi up to Putin. But I don't want to give you the feeling that it's a festival of tragedies and dramas only. It's a festival full of any kind of films that reflect on the possibility to build another future, an alternative to what we are living today.
The opening film, La Grazia by Paolo Sorrentino, will be released in theaters in the coming months. For those who didn't catch it at the festival, what can they expect from the Oscar-winning director's latest work?
The opening movie, La Grazia by Paolo Sorrentino, is a very surprising film, quite different from recent films of the same director. It seems that Sorrentino tried to come back to his first films, like Le conseguenze dell'amore, for example. I think that Sorrentino films is something which is completely non-expectable. It's a very original story. It's a film about the president of the Italian Republic. It won't be too difficult to recognize many precedents in the protagonist of the film. And I think that Sorrentino made with this film one of his most original, personal, and compelling film.
How important is the presence of international stars on the red carpet of the Venice Film Festival?
Star system is a part of cinema. It is not something that we should forget about, because cinema is made of dreams, and the talents are the connection between the audience and the dreams. Julia Roberts for the first time in Venice, Kate Blanchett, Charlotte Rampling, Adam Driver, Oscar Isaac, Emma Stone, which is the protagonist of the Yorgos Lanthimos film. A lot of talents.
Cinema is a dream that became your job. What do you wish for the new generations of spectators and cinema enthusiasts who will participate in future editions of the festival?
I wish them to follow the festival with the same attitude that I had in the past. The first time that I came to Venice, it was the mid of the 70s. And then I came back again at the beginning of the 80s. I was a film critic at that time. I was passionate for cinema. I was dreaming to work in cinema in some way. I succeeded to be part of the system, becoming a festival director for all my entire life. And I wish them to share the same passion for cinema, because I think cinema is the most rewarding experience in our cultural life.
Thank you, Alberto, and see you for the 83rd Venice International Film Festival on September 2nd, 2026. Her debut movie, Aftersun, got the first Academy Awards nomination to Paul Mescal and became an instant classic. At the Biennale Cinema 2025, she led a small but crucial jury, the one that assigns the Venice Award for a debut film, also known as the Lion of the Future. We are excited to hand the mic over to the talented Charlotte Wells. Charlotte, what were your expectations for this experience?
I've been thinking a lot lately about the Orson Welles quote, ignorance, there's no authority in the world like it. I think there's something special about the fearlessness and devotion of many debut films. That's all I'm looking for, really. Films that find novel phrasings in the cinematic language employed as a means of expression. A feeling, an idea, a perspective that either I haven't encountered before, or else one that I have but have never been able to articulate in such a way.
What's your relationship with Italian cinema?
In contemporary Italian cinema, in contemporary cinema generally, in fact, I adore the films of Alice Rohrwacher. Corpo Celeste was a film I watched early in writing Aftersun, and La Chimera is a favorite, absolutely, from the past several years. I think of Italian cinema and I think of a certain Italian intensity, a curiosity, a beauty, a pace even. Artists more broadly, while making Aftersun, Gregory Oak, the cinematographer, and I often reference the photographs of Luigi Geri, beautiful, playful images that inspired certain frames within the film.
If you were asked to shoot a film in or about Venice, what would draw your attention?
I think the labyrinthine nature of the streets and the waterways lend themselves to a certain type of suspense. Thrillers, of course, but I think in their beauty also romantic suspense, and I think that's probably what would draw my attention above all. I suppose across these genres, like I'm thinking of David Lean's Summertime or conversely Don't Look Now. Patricia Highsmith and Muriel Spark actually both set novels in Venice, and they're writers that I think it'd be a lot of fun to adapt someday, so you never know.
It was a pleasure to host you for the very first episode of our podcast. Thank you for your inspiring words. Now, let's dig deeper into the heart of the festival. From the screening rooms to the buzzing corridors of the Lido, we've gathered the voices of those who brought this edition to life. Directors, actresses, and actors who, through their talent and vision, offer us a window into cinema's future. Among the voices you'll hear are the winner of the Silver Lion for Best Director, a rising filmmaker from Saudi Arabia, two legendary auteurs with unique cinematic voices, a visionary Afghan documentarian, a pair of internationally acclaimed stars, and a director celebrated for her intimate, socially engaged storytelling. Each shares their perspective on today's cinema and the stories yet to come, exploring its challenges, dreams, and the new creative frontiers that lie ahead. Let's begin with Beni Safdie, freshly awarded Best Director for The Smashing Machine. Cinema has a rare power to transform us, both as performers and as spectators. What, in your view, can we take away from it?
I think that movies have an amazing possibility to allow you to feel somebody else's feelings, and that's something that I wanted to do with this movie. Was I wanted to get inside somebody else's head and see the world through their eyes and feel their feelings as if they were my own memories. And then as a result, maybe I would learn something and become a better person, So I know Capra would do that, with It's a Wonderful Life. And there's amazing possibilities with what you can learn by seeing the different perspectives in the world. So,
Jude Law, in The Wizard of the Kremlin, you embody a role that required a profound transformation. As an actor and as a person, what did that process teach you about the power of cinema to shape our understanding of others?
I think the key word to that is transform. Storytelling is an ancient art. It goes back to sharing experiences around a fire in our primitive communities. And I think to transform ideas, to share ideas, but to transform opinion and relationships is really at its heart. And it's a vital part of how we communicate as a global community, and has great import. And so it needs to be treated, I think, with great respect and celebration. I certainly take it very seriously, but I also love it and get great joy from it, both as someone who partakes, but also someone who watches and appreciates.
Speaking of the power of cinema, Shahad Amin, how can we achieve this kind of magic on screen?
I think cinema can make magic happen when it's truthful. When it's truthful to one's identity, to one's culture, when it's trying to be imaginative, when it's not just following tradition. I think we need magic in cinema. And we need it as directors by following our true path. And sometimes that's different and weird and peculiar, but it's what cinema is. It's about discovering.
From emerging voices to undisputed masters, this year, Werner Herzog received the Golden Lion for Lifetime Achievement. We asked him to select a single frame from his extraordinary career, but as you'll hear, that's not an easy task.
I think I have made too many films. I cannot sort out a single one, but it's always been a quest for dreams, a quest for truth, a quest for being a good soldier of cinema, and that ultimately brings me here to Venezia, to the festival, and it has been good to me. And one single element taken out is literally impossible for me. If you ask me what can I give from my body, do I give you a finger, a toe, my arm, my head, my ears? So we have to keep it all together.
As one brilliant narrator of unusual stories passes the baton to the next, Guillermo del Toro, how would you describe the true essence of the movie-going experience?
I think that when you go to the movies and you experience true cinema, it is like a religious moment. And you, like the church, you keep going every Sunday, but you don't experience salvation every time. But now and then you do, and then that's why you keep coming back.
We now turn to Abuzar Amini, director of Kabul Between Prayers, screened out of competition at the festival. What advice would you give to aspiring filmmakers?
I would say just don't wait for a lot of possibilities, equipment, supports. Just go for it with as little as you have. You know, I come from a country that cinema is almost banned, and I teach my students always you are not allowed to film it on the streets. Do it at home, in your yard. If you are not allowed to do it in your yard, do it in your bedroom. If you're not allowed to do it in your bedroom, go on your roof. So use everything, but try to tell your story on your own authentic way.
Numi Rapaz, looking ahead, how can we shape the future of cinema?
By embracing bravery, by supporting film directors and storytellers that are not the convenient ones, to support more female voices, and to embrace stories that are not always easy to understand. This is our legacy. This is our duty to support bravery and people that goes against the system.
Cinema often feels timeless, transcending generations and borders. Tiona Strugar-Mitevska, how do you see it?
I guess timelessness is going before time, being brave to take the steps that many are afraid to take. In terms of the type of stories we tell, in terms of the characters we put forward, and in terms of the cinematic form, how we push the cinematic for further. Yes, female gaze, feminine gaze is important, and this is the time to actually dare and tell stories differently.
Yes, this is a time to tell stories differently. Stories that travel across borders, break conventions, and spark new ways of seeing. Thanks to the directors, actors, and dreamers who shared their voices with us, and to everyone who helped make Biennale Cinema 2025 such a special celebration of film. September wasn't just about cinema. On September 5th, at the Venice Arsenale, AquaPraça was unveiled, a special project for the 19th International Architecture Exhibition, Intelligence, Natural Artificial Collective, curated by Carlo Ratti and open through November 23, 2025, bringing together institutions, architects, scientists, and policymakers to explore new responses to rising seas and extreme weather. Docked in the water basin of the historic Venetian site, the spectacular floating platform, designed by Carlo Ratti Associati and Howler and Yoon, opened to the public as a brand new gathering place for global dialogue on climate. And in fact, this floating cultural square will become an integral part of the Italian pavilion at COP30, the United Nations Climate Change Conference, which will take place this year in Belém, Brazil, from November 10th to 21st. Right now, AquaPraça is sailing across the Atlantic Ocean on its way to South America. In early November, it will dock on the Brazilian coast to share its reflections on architecture and climate action with a global audience. After the COP30, the installation will become a permanent community hub, promoting social engagement on climate issues, harnessing natural intelligence, and responsive technologies to adapt to rising sea levels, exploring a new symbiosis between architecture and the environment. With AquaPraça, Carlo Ratti recalls and evokes the Teatro del Mondo, the theater made of wood and steel, built on a barge and capable of moving through the canals of Venice.
In 1979, Aldo Rossi presented the Teatro del Mondo, a floating architecture that was poetically inserted in a Venetian lagoon. The project was produced as part of the exhibition Venezia e lo spazio scenico, promoted by the theater and architecture sectors of the Venice Biennale. In fact, at the time, they were preparing to inaugurate the first Architecture Biennale, that was 1980, directed by Paolo Portoghetti. Well, with Teatro del Mondo, Rossi asserted that architecture could and should dialogue with the past, in a play on memories, quotations, and continuity. Today, more than 40 years later, AquaPraça ideally picks up that baton. It can show how architecture can go further, not only in dialogue with the past, but also capable of measuring itself against the challenges of the future, first and foremost, climate change.
Just as Teatro del Mondo offered a space for performance and community, today AquaPraça aims to be a place for exchange and collective action. Though belonging to different times and contexts, both projects share the same vision: architecture and water as a cultural tool, capable of sparking reflection on the relationship between humans and the environment. Rossi pursued this through the language of memory and the ideal city. AquaPraça does so through technological innovation and climate awareness, evolving from a temporary installation into a community infrastructure destined to remain in Brazil as a tangible legacy. A dialogue that, more than 40 years later, confirms Venice as a visionary laboratory. We are here to hear an original audio document preserved in the Biennale Historical Archive. Speaking is Aldo Rossi himself, who recounts the birth and concept of his project and the meaning he wanted it to carry. A meaning so powerful that it still feels more relevant than ever today. Here are his words from an old interview recorded in April 1980.
Questa idea di costruire un teatro galleggiante nel centro storico di Venezia.
The idea of building a floating theatre in the historic centre of Venice, in one of the most famous historic centres in the world, is not mine. That is, it doesn't belong to the designer. It's an idea of Paolo Portoghesi and Maurizio Scaparro, and I would say it's not really theirs either. Rather, it's a revival, as many know, of a Venetian tradition, of a certain way of living. During Carnival, such theatres were built, venues for performances on rafts, on boats, which moved through the city and across the lagoon, and where shows would take place.
Il teatro è come una barca, come come una nave, e al suo interno lo spettacolo risente di questo essere sulla nave. Ho assistito ad alcuni spettacoli.
The theater is like a boat, like a ship, and inside it, the performance itself reflects this condition of being on the water. I attended several performances, and what struck me most, what I believe was the greatest achievement of the architecture, was this fusion of the show, the movement of the water, and the view of Venice. Every time a vaporetto passed, the theater swayed more noticeably. With each motorboat, the whole structure vibrated. It was as if one were inside the belly of a whale, a theatrical space with a particularly unique effect.
Exploring the world, creating new ones, and communicating through different arts are among the goals of La Biennale di Venezia. And what better way to do it than by dancing? Where words fail, gestures and movements can speak louder, and possibly without getting lost in translation. Okay, maybe we're stating the obvious, but it is so true. A lot can be expressed through the body in the performance, a concept well known to Sir Wayne McGregor, who, in his 5th year as artistic director of the dance department, has chosen to enrich the program of the 19th International Festival of Contemporary Dance with a special preview, The Herds. The Herds is a work of public art against climate change, created together by the Walk Productions and Ukwanda Puppets and Design Art Collective. A herd of life-size puppet animals traveled from Congo Basin to the Arctic Circle, where it arrived last August. The project was born as an urgent response to climate change, representing the flight of animals from their natural habitats due to the environmental crisis. This unprecedented large-scale action traveled for 20,000 kilometers, and on June 17th, touched the lagoon of Venice, one of the places often taken as a symbol of climate change. In Venice, the Herds was joined by 16 young dancers of Biennale College Danza, guided by the choreographers Anthony and Kel Mazzena, creating a powerful visual experience in harmony with the lagoon's gentle habitats and movements. So let's hear what the college dancers have to say about their experience with the Herds.
My encounter with the Herds became a deeply transformative experience.
My experience in the college was truly unique and beautiful. I'm so thankful for everything that I've learned and all the people that I had the chance to work with. Working with the Hertz instead was one of the most magical experiences that happened in my performative life.
It was unexpected, almost magical experience that enriched me personally and artistically.
For me, it was a reminder that animals and us humans are not that different, and as a community, we can go farther than as individuals.
It was an incredible experience of community, diversity, and getting to know people from all around the world and connecting with each other.
Dancing with the life-size herd puppets through the streets of Venice was magical. And even in such a short time, the Herds team welcomed us like family, an experience that made the Biennale truly unforgettable.
We have explored our bodies in a detailed and profound way, discovering new possibilities from expression and communication.
The highlight of this experience was that through long days in the studio, my colleagues became like family, and it was truly beautiful and inspiring to witness their talent and passion every day.
Hello, I'm Anton. For me, the whole Biennale journey has been a huge process of self-discovery and really deep connection with everyone. So the Herd project has made me realize that we are just part of the universe, fulfilling our own destiny.
Taking part in the Hertz during the Biennale College Danza was an intense and transformative experience that taught me the power of collective movement and deep listening within a shared creative space.
Deep listening within a shared creative space. What an odd thing to say for a dancer. Or maybe not. Maybe there's someone who can help us answer this question and solve this riddle. In her statement to present the 69th International Festival of Contemporary Music, the new artistic director of the music department, Caterina Barbieri, defines the action of deep listening as, quote, the primary root of empathy, where music can once again find its strong socio-political value. From October 11th to October 25th, the Biennale Musica 2025, entitled La Stella Dentro, The Star Within, will explore the theme of cosmic music and its generative power to create new worlds. Here's a little excerpt of Caterina presenting her program during the official press conference.
Il titolo della 69esima edizione del festival.
The title of this edition of contemporary music is The Star Within. This title takes inspiration from a poetic and symbolic image of music as the star within. Music as a wish for vastness, for endlessness, an ecstatic contemplation of something that can't be known. So we want to explore the issue of cosmic music. We want to focus on the idea of music as the portal of music into endlessness and infinity. In this perspective, music is seen as a vibration that permeates the cosmos and traverses us with ecstasies. All matter, human and non-human, for molecules to the motion of planets, are included in this. In the ecstasies of listening, this vibration opens us up to a vibration that connects us with the other, with the unknown. It is in this resonance that music responds to the ancient and modern men to establish a dialogue with something that is bigger than us, something that goes well beyond the borders of the ego and that makes us more closer to the dimension of something that can't be said and known. So in this intimate resonance with the universe, we deeply listen. This is the very root of empathy, listening. It is in this deep listening of the other to the other. It is in this transcendence that music can find its social and political dimension. It can help us today to go well beyond an anthropocentric way of thinking. We can experiment new ways of coexisting, respecting the constellations of human and non-human entities that transverse our universe. This empathy and exercise is particularly significant today. We have to navigate the uncertainty of the very survival of our human species in this scenario of global collapse and continuous crisis that we have to come to terms with on a daily basis.
Well, it's way clearer now, right? Anyways, to better understand each other, we have to listen deeply. The Biennale Musica 2025 will surely offer an interesting program to listen deeply to. Audio installations, waterboat concerts, regular concerts, and DJ sets. Among the guests are Meredith Monk, Chikimamani Kundori, William Basinski, Laurie Spiegel, Christian Fenez, Sun O. And let's not forget the young musicians selected for this year's Biennale College Musica. Luca Aron, Francesca Fabrizi, Jasmine Morris, the duo Rez and Morgana. At this point, we recommend checking the Biennale website or our Instagram, where you can find exclusive content. Coming out of our cosmic exploration through the themes of the Biennale Musica 2025, where sound, space, and body come together in unexpected ways, let's shift gears, just slightly, to another initiative where ideas collide and disciplines cross-pollinate. We're talking about the brand new issue of La Biennale di Venezia magazine, published during the 82nd Venice International Film Festival. Now, if you haven't heard of it yet, the magazine is a project of La Biennale's historical archive, reviving a tradition that lasted until the early 70s and has now been reborn as a quarterly publication. It brings together all our disciplines: visual arts, architecture, dance, music, theater, and cinema, alongside fresh perspectives from fashion, science, and literature. Each issue zooms in on one big idea, seen through the eyes of artists, thinkers, scholars, and cultural trailblazers. The theme of the latest issue? Raw material. It addresses the tension between digital and material reality. In an age dominated by big data, artificial intelligence, and virtual reality, this edition turns its gaze to the res extensa, the extension of the body, the physicality of experience, and the search for an authentic connection with the world. Contributors include Massimo Cacciari, Damiano Micheletto, Anthony Hamilton, Michelangelo Frammartino, Massimo Danolfi, Bruce Sterling, Daniele Cassioli, Hugo Mojica, Gino Gerosa, Arcangelo Sassolino, and Alberto Biasi. You can grab the magazine online at the Biennale store, in major bookstores, and at events where it will be presented across Italy and abroad. So whether you're reflecting on today's world, chasing fresh ideas, or just up for a surprise, this magazine is a must-read. Or better yet, a must-experience. And that's a wrap on the very first episode of Biennale on Air. But hey, this is only the beginning. We hope you've glimpsed something unexpected today. A voice, a memory, or a future taking shape. We've traveled through films and red carpets, floating stages, giant puppets, and sounds that seem to hum straight from the space. Pretty epic, right? But honestly, we've barely scratched the surface of what La Biennale di Venezia has in store. This is a place where stories meet, collide, and transform, where the past flows into the present, and the present dares to imagine what's next. Thank you for listening and for coming along for this wild ride. We'll be back next month with new voices, bold ideas, and stories that cross, and sometimes bend, all sorts of boundaries. So smash that follow button and bring a friend next time. The next episode is around the corner. Trust us, you won't want to miss it. This is Biennale on Air. Catch you later, and a big ciao from Venice. Biennale on Air is a podcast produced by La Biennale di Venezia. The voice you're hearing is mine, Maddalena Vallecchi-Williams. Mixing and audio editing are by C3 Tecnologie e Organizzazioni SRL. The music of the Herds is composed by Beth Lewis. English contribution translations by Aldo Rossi and Caterina Barbieri are by Davis Evans and Emanuela Cotronei. The podcast is curated by the Editorial Activities and Web Office and the Press Office of La Biennale di Venezia. Cesare Bisantis, Valentina Campana, Claudia Gioia, Ornella Mogno, and Marta Zannoner.